Hello, welcome back to the Evergreen Rx. I'm your host, Hayden, licensed mental health therapist, Cancer Moon, and the first to get deep at any party. And I just got distracted by the trees outside because, guys, we're well into spring and the trees are blooming and they're so green and big and pretty. And probably as soon as I'm done recording this, I'm going to go be out there and be in the sunshine and maybe go swimming. Are y'all swimming yet where you live? Is it time to swim? Are you a swimmer? Not even a swimmer, but do you like to partake, be in the water? Let me know, like, how do you guys like to enjoy spring? Because I feel like for people that really appreciate wellness and mental health and just cutesy things like celebrating the spring equinox and the summer solstice and all that, spring's a good season for us because it's like fresh produce and picnics and going on walks, and yeah, it's a lovely time. So little evergreenies, please let me know how you're spending this season so far. If you have any bucket list items, I definitely want to host a picnic. I think that sounds really fun. And I want to see the wildflowers, because I live in Texas and we have wildflowers that have been seeded all throughout the state, thanks to Lady Bird Johnson. And so we have bluebonnets and things of that nature that pop up all over the sides of highways and everywhere. And it's just so beautiful. And there's certain drives you can do to go see them. And so we're nearing the end wildflower season, but that's on my bucket list. So let me know what's on yours. And what else is new? This will be kind of a fun episode because actually I have the main question I'll be answering today. And then at the end, I got a little special listener question. I'm going to play the audio from that and answer it. You may recognize the voice if you're a fan of the pod, but I'll leave that surprise for the end. So you got to stay tuned for it. So we get a little bonus question in here as well. So you guys are down with it at this point. We're enough into the season to understand that I'm going to answer, I answer questions about all things mental health related, wellness, spirituality, friendship, relationship, career, existential questions, routine, healthy habits, all that kinds of stuff. And yes, I am a licensed therapist, but I am not a therapist on this podcast. I'm just Hayden and we're just having a chat. And so these are just my opinions, and I don't have all the information. I don't have all the answers, and I don't want to be prescriptive. So this is not a prescription. You get to figure out what you want to take, what you want to leave, what works for you. And maybe that's everything, or maybe that's nothing, and that's fine. And as always, I like to hear from you guys on your answers, or if there's something you feel like I miss in, how I address these questions. Hit me up, because I'm always happy to learn and build our wisdom as a community. So would love to hear from you. So sounds like we have a customer in the Evergreen Apothecary. And they say, "Dear Evergreen, I feel like I don't know how to have fun anymore. And I don't mean that in a way like my life is awful. I just mean everything is so serious all the time. Feels so serious all the time. Even when I technically have free time, I either feel like I should be using it to be productive, like reading something, self-improving, catching up on life admin, working out, whatever, or I just zone out and scroll because I'm too drained to actually do anything. I can't remember the last time I did something purely because it sounded fun without worrying about if it was a good use of time. How do I relearn how to enjoy my life without feeling like I have to earn it?" Guys, I couldn't ask this question for real. I was just texting my brother the other day about how one of my sessions in the morning was canceled, and then it was my lunch break after, and I was like, well, how am I supposed to enjoy my lunch break now? I haven't earned it. And I texted him this because we've talked over the years, and he's like, you got to treat yourself, just to treat yourself. Like, that's part of life. And I'm very much of the, I got to earn it. And, this sparkling water I want? Have I worked hard enough to deserve it? So I'm like right with you on this. It's hard. It's this toxic thought process. It's capitalism, baby. It's a lot of things that lead us to believe we have to be productive, we have to earn things, that there's like worthy activities or activities that are more important than others, and then things like play or relaxation are less important, or kind of the thing that you do if you have extra time. And that's a really pervasive idea and concept. And I hear that through this question, just being affected by that belief. And so then what can happen is we start to feel like my life is a little bit dry, and it's kind of this constant drudgery because I'm trying to make sure I do everything I need to do and I'm productive enough so then I can enjoy my couple hours in the evening, or do something fun at the end of the week. And even when we are doing something fun, we can be shooting ourselves and, I should be doing this, or I don't know, maybe, I shouldn't spend the money on this yoga class, or I really need to get my laundry done instead of watching this TV show, whatever. And so we get trapped, because then how do we ever relax and have fun besides taking a freaking boulder to the head and just scrolling, just absolutely nuking all other sensory input and just numbing out and laying down and scrolling. And yeah, there's a time and place for that, I think, ? But there is also kind of this, it's like a nervous system reaction, almost a like blunt force. We have to just knock ourselves out to be able to relax in this day and age. And most of you guys probably know that when you sit there and you scroll, it might be fun at first, but is it actually recharging? Does it actually make you happy? I don't know. Good questions. Sometimes it might be yes, but we can also push it past the limit because we're just trying to totally zone out due to this feeling that, this person writes about of like, I feel like everything's so serious all the time. I got to be doing something. I got to be productive. And that's exhausting. There's so much fatigue. So we all get to a breaking point, and then that's when it's like, might as well just mainline TikTok for 3 hours because everything else is such a slog. So like I said, I really relate to this, but I think I'm maybe, a couple months, half a year ahead of the person writing in. Not ahead in any like superior way, but I mean in terms of how much I've been thinking about and trying to improve this relationship with myself and this feeling that I have. And so I was thinking about what are the things that have helped me the most. And one of the really foundational things that has helped me, which is more on like a philosophical thing, or like a more how we look at like life and time, is asking myself the question, what is the point? Like, what are we all racing towards? What is the point of productivity? What is the point of play? What is this constant back and forth between like, I have to work now and this doesn't make me happy, and then I get to rest now and this does make me happy? And I think there can be some reframing that we can do here. I've definitely worked on this. So I'm assuming most of you guys, based on my analytics, are adults in your 20s, around there, who have jobs or some kind of stable day-to-day flow that you're in, whether it's school or work, and can kind of get into that monotony. And I think what can happen is we start thinking like, this is wrong. Like doing work, like, that's the thing I have to just get through to live life outside of work. And I think sometimes we can question that belief. And I'm pausing a little because I'm nervous people are going to get mad about this, because I know there's a lot of people out there that hate their jobs and feel really miserable. But I wonder, even if you hate your job, is there a way to reframe what you're doing? or the security or stability that it's giving you, or the financial freedom, or, seeing it as a stepping stone to the next thing. But one of the things we do know is that work is an integral part of life. I get some people might have a different argument to that or think that there's something wrong with it. But as it stands right now, work is an integral part of life. And we spend a lot of our time doing it. So if we're stuck in this mindset of like, work I get through so that I can get to real life, we're going to be constantly in a battle, because like 60% of our time or more is going to our job. 70%. I don't know the percentage, but a lot of it. And work can do a lot of things for us, like provide meaning, provide purpose. Maybe you're doing something to make somebody else's life easier. If you're in a retail job and you arrange things in a really beautiful way for people that come into the store to enjoy, and you put things back, or maybe you are really skilled in one area of organization, and so you lean into that, and it makes your coworkers' life easier. Even if you don't care about the customers and you think you work for some big shitty corporation or something, you can still do things to help your fellow employee or fellow coworkers, or things that are gratifying to you. So I hope you guys are getting kind of the idea of some of the reframes that we can bring in, because we're going to waste a lot of time and energy, and I wasted a lot of time and energy viewing work as the thing I need to get through. I am definitely sitting up in a privileged position in terms of really having a lot of passion and love for my job. I absolutely love being a therapist. I feel so fortunate to be able to do that. And it challenges me a lot, and it makes me use my brain in a different way. And I have to be on schedule. I have to show up right on time, and, my time is really accounted for, and I have to be able to put all my stuff aside for that, hour, however many hours in the day I'm meeting with people. And so it still is work. But once I was able to see from a different lens, like, how is this aligned with my values? What is this giving me? And if it's not aligned with my values, how can I make it more aligned if this is just the job I have to have right now? So that's a part of it. And just not separating or delineating out so hard the lines between what's like work and what's pleasure. Because I think the lines can be more blurred. Even a simple, coffee or tea in the afternoon at work, a little ritual you make for yourself, that can be pleasure and have its own special place in your life and in the flow of your life. Not to mention that we just need diversity. Like if we just all had all the time in the world and we didn't have to worry about being productive, or we didn't have to be productive, or we didn't have to do work or anything, I mean, that would get monotonous too, because we'd be like, what the hell am I living for? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit of my own internalized thing about getting purpose through work, but still, I think that the diversity of our activities gives purpose to the times where things are different. The weeks that you are going into work Monday through Friday make that extra long weekend or that vacation feel more special. And so I also think something that could be tried out is to just lean the fuck in to free time and to being bored or doing something just for the sake of doing it, so you can re-find your balance. Sometimes we have to just go full hog in the opposite direction, obviously without hurting ourselves or others, but we have to go like full hog in the other direction so that we can find the new balance. And so giving yourself permission to just really like take the pressure off, take your foot off the gas, see what happens, find out that probably nothing bad happens if you aren't productive for an afternoon or a couple of days, that it's going to be okay. There can be a lot of value in experimenting and getting the experience of that so you can trust it more. Like the world is not going to catch on fire if I just like take a nap Wednesday after work, so trying out, experimenting, maybe intentionally wasting your own time, Question mark. I kind of cringe on that one because I'm like, oh, I would have a hard time with this, but maybe you could try it out and let me know what you think. I feel like it's worth something to go into an activity or an afternoon doing something or not doing anything that you think is a complete waste of time. Or maybe it's not the most effective way to do it. Or you should wait until the weekend or something. See what happens if you just like aren't so precious. I think we have gotten really precious with our time, partially because of social media and this idea that we have so many options and so many avenues out there, and it looks like everyone's doing everything all the time. And it can lead to this like paralysis of choice because I can't be reading a book and crocheting. Well, maybe you could. I can't be reading a book and riding my bike at the same time. And so then we can get into this paralysis that makes us go into freeze mode. And then we just end up scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and not doing anything because we can't choose what to do. Because to choose, the stakes feel really high. So being a little bit less precious with your time. It's funny because time is simultaneously very precious, and also we can't treat it too precious or else we would be paralyzed all the time, never do anything. I'm actually reading a book right now called When Breath Becomes Air. I cannot think about the author's name at this moment, but I will have it linked below. It's a memoir, and I picked it up because it's about how death and mortality gives our life purpose. And inherently in that conversation is the idea like we only have so much time, and you have to walk that balance beam of knowing that we don't have all the time in the world, but also that each moment as it comes is valuable and meaningful and worth living exactly as it is, because it could end at any point. I don't know if I'm explaining it well. The memoir is very beautiful, but another good book about time, if this is something you're curious about, is 4,000 Weeks, which the title, I've talked about it before, I think, but the title is based off of how many weeks of life you would have if you lived, I think, until your 80s, which is meant to stress people out. And I want to say it's by John Oliver. Definitely not. It's by Oliver Burkeman. And I'll also have that linked below, but it's a really good modern take on the philosophy of time and our relationship to it. So anyway, I digress. But yeah, other practical tools I think are setting time limits or marking things in your calendar. Like maybe you have a hard out for when you stop working for the day or doing quote unquote productive things, which again, challenge what you see as productive and what's not, because I think all of that for the most part is an illusion. But set a hard out, like at 7 p.m., computer off, things I can do whatever I want to do. And I think once you lean into that, you might find that there's days where you might be like, oh, actually folding my laundry, like that sounds like appropriate right now. It sounds good. It would feel good to do it. And then there'll be other times based on your capacity on that day, how stressed you are, how tired, or how much sleep you got, or what's going on in your life. You might choose like, hell no, I'm going to go like sit outside and watch the sunset from beginning to end. But you can also mark times in your calendar if you really need something to jumpstart and that works for your brain. Just put a block in your calendar for nothingness time, or, just time to explore. And something important to remember, just because this person addressed the whole thing about just zoning out and scrolling, which I talked a little bit about, but another thing I want to add is that when we go on social media, it's like getting a shot of dopamine. Like boom, right to the receptors. And that's why it feels really good and we crave it. And when we do other things like painting or reading a book, that's more like a drip drop of dopamine. So it takes a bit longer, which I think is just like kind of like a helpful warning that takes a little bit longer. So if you're going to try out, making space for exploration and relaxation or whatever it may be, set a little timer for yourself for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. You'll start to get a feel for how long it takes. That allows your brain to kind of switch gears and slowly, activate the reward system, because it's not going to feel the same as just the quick release, quick fix of our phones. Okay, so I think that's about done and dusted on that question. But again, I'm actively in this camp as well. So I would love to hear how y'all, enjoy your life and work your way away from the idea that we have to earn enjoyment and we have to be productive. So let me know, either on social media or in the comments below this podcast. But I told you guys there would be a bonus, and there is. So I'm going to go pull up the TikTok in which I was asked a question to answer briefly at the end here.
Oh, Evergreen Rx. I wanted to ask a therapist, and I love the pod. I was just eating, and I ate way too quickly, and I ate my Chipotle, and it's sitting wrong in my stomach. And I was walking around the house for a second because I'm so uncomfortable, and I just thought, God, I want to die. I'm like so uncomfortable. And then I thought, like, that can't be good for my psyche, We say all of these things, your body listens to what you say, your like subconscious listens to what you say, and I'm curious what like an actual trained therapist perspective is on like negative self-talk and extreme self-talk and extreme over exaggeration, because I don't want to die, thankfully, right now. But that's what I told myself because I ate too much Chipotle too quickly because I got my blood drawn. So I don't know. It seems it seems inconsequential, and I think maybe it might not be.
Okay, bonus points to any of you that recognize that voice. So I think this question is good, and obviously it's kind of funny, and we probably all can relate to this. And he said what a trained, a actual therapist answer would be, and I'm not gonna put my stamp on this as my therapist stance or my official statement, because as you guys know, this podcast is not therapy. But from my informed and also personal opinion, I agree that it seems inconsequential, but maybe not so much. Because as he so astutely said, our subconscious absorbs things. Our words matter. The way we talk to ourselves does matter. It's like, you guys have probably heard of the study of plants that they, like in some lab, they were growing seedlings, and the ones that were talked to like more positively and lovingly grew faster and better than the ones that were spoken to in a negative way, which is really interesting. I think there's also something with like water molecules, the way they organize themselves based on positive or negative energy. I don't know. Google it. But our words do carry energy, and whether or not science backs this or just our own experience, I mean, we can definitely feel it. And I think that even jokingly saying, oh, I want to die, I'm so full, I want to die, it has a subconscious effect. And I also think it can create a sense of like disowning the experience. I don't know exactly how to phrase this, but kind of separating ourselves, like, oh my gosh, I'm so full, I want to die, like, let me wallow a little bit, or kind of catastrophize or be dramatic, even jokingly dramatic about how bad this is. But then sometimes we don't really like learn from that experience, because maybe we'll just go eat a bunch way too quick again, because fuck it, I don't know, like we haven't really internalized the impact of that experience. Versus if we were to, like he said, he got his blood drawn, he ate really fast, he was hungry, it's gonna happen, it's fine. If in that moment we could give ourselves some compassion and say, oh, okay, I'm like really full right now and that's really uncomfortable, I want to remember this next time. Because maybe I've done this before and it just really doesn't feel good. And I understand, like, my body's responding. I was really hungry. I needed nutrients. But maybe I can take some, like, breaths in between next time so that I can get the nutrients and also not get to the point where I'm so uncomfortably full that I don't know how to cope with it other than making these jokes or saying kind of some negative things to myself about it. You know, when we look at it from more of a spiritual lens or like the law of attraction or whatever, I'm not saying, you know, making a joke, I want to die, is going to like manifest that into your life and you're going to like get killed or something. But I think the general principle is what I was talking about at the beginning on our words carry energy. What we say gets reflected back to us through our experience. So just anytime we speak with more of a negative or demeaning tone or language, or we use negatives like not or don't, I don't want this, I don't like that. At best, we're just like remaining neutral. At worst, we're kind of bringing more of what we don't want into our life versus speaking in more of the positive valence of this is what I want, this is what I like, this is, you know, what I want to draw near to me or closer. That's kind of how the law of attraction or manifestation works. And obviously this question isn't really about manifesting, but all that to say that yes, I think it has more impact than we think, the way we talk to ourselves, even when we're using little comments, because I also know in times when I have been doing less well, struggling mentally or dealing with more stress, I'm more prone to making little joking comments like, ugh, I just want to die, or kill me, you know? And we sometimes say that jokingly, but I don't catch myself saying those things as much when I'm doing a little bit better or I'm on more solid ground. So I think there's correlation there. Something interesting to watch for in your own life. All right, so that's it. In and out. And like I said, let me know your thoughts. Send me your questions right in at the evergreenrx@gmail.com or text me or call me at 512-655-9888 so you can hear your voice in an episode very soon. Let me know what you're thinking, what dilemmas you're dealing with, what texts you don't know how to respond to, what to do with your anger at your mother-in-law. I don't know. Anything. And I'll catch you guys next Wednesday.